Hi everyone, welcome to the podcast. My name is Eitan. We're here at the Fleet Feet Upper West Side store on 72nd Street in New York City. I'm joined today by Derek Fahsbender, Stephen England, and Alex Guzman. Glad to have everyone on the show today. We'll start with you, Stephen. You can tell us a brief background about your running journey, how you got started, and what kind of drives you.
Thanks for having me. First of all, this is an awesome setup today. Stephen England. I'm from England. I've been running since I've been about 10 years old. Kind of in a very quick condensed version, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 14. And that was a huge milestone moment that really set me back in my running kind of dreams and aspirations. But fast forward 30 plus years, I've run over 100 marathons and ultra marathons to show the world and to show myself that you can have an illness, which is a chronic illness. Hasn't got to be diabetes. And you can go and run 100 miles, 200 plus miles, pace marathons. And I love running in the community and sharing that. Look after yourself, and it gives it all back. It's a beautiful thing.
Alex?
Hey, my name is Alex. Born and raised in New York. I started my running journey roughly 2015. And it's been a journey of up and downs and accomplishment, but overall running helps me and has helped me tremendously. Running is my therapy. It's my getaway, it's my place of peace. It really helps me personally.
Derek, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Eitan, as you said, captain of Dykeman Run Club. And really for me, running is about mental health. And it's about pushing through those challenges. So it's like, I think we all look at what we have going on in our lives, and adult life sucks. But then you meet somebody that's inspirational like Stephen, and it's like, man, what excuse do I have? You got to stop making excuses. So I'm just here so that some of Stephen's inspiration and motivation can hopefully rub off on me, and I can, live up to my name. As I had told you before we went live today, I'm named after a runner. My father named me after Derek Clayton, who was a world-class Austrian marathoner, and I haven't been a runner. I'm the rookie most runner here. So I'm just really getting started on my journey and trying to stay motivated.
Stephen, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned how diabetes, kind of when you were diagnosed, that at that onset of that was something that you perceived as like a barrier to inhibit you from achieving what you anticipated or dreamt of through running. But I think clearly through your achievements in running, it hasn't actually been something, I'm sure there's been numerous challenges it's presented, but you've seemingly, overcome and persevered through that potential setback or inhibition to run. Can you tell us a little bit more about how your motivation has, driven you forward to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, it's a long story that I'll try and keep tight. But I was a runner before I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at just turning 14. And I think when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, I had all these real dreams, as everyone should have at that age, of like being, going to the Olympics, representing Great Britain, and being a runner professionally. And then the diagnosis slapped me in the face so hard, and the doctor came in the room to tell me about what diabetes was, and he knew I was athletic, but he was kind of telling me that I couldn't pursue being running so maybe aggressively or so passionately, because that much sport and diabetes combined is complicated. It could lead to maybe a harder time managing it, and that was the feedback I remember, at least from a long time ago. And I viewed it, having this condition, as being different than all my friends and all my peers. So initially, actually, I hid away from sharing that I had type 1 diabetes. And it took me a very long time, all my teen years of rebelling and hiding. And then somewhere along the way, this kind of spark came along kind of through some friends in New York when I was in my 20s and moved here. And they said, hey, you've done a few marathons and you have type 1, like you really should consider like opening your door a little bit and like leaning into that, being vulnerable, being authentic. And my reaction was, no way. I'm not going to tell people this. And I went home and thought about it. And of course, I changed my mind. And of course, the story really is that I opened the door, said I have type 1 diabetes, and owned it and was proud of it. And it wasn't my fault. And I could manage it, and I could run marathons, and I could run longer stuff too. And that's just been my kind of, it's just who I am now. It's almost like I want it to be my legacy. I feel like I'm still new to running, which that may be a weird thing to say to you guys, but I really feel like I'm just getting started too.
It's clearly is part of your existence, right? Something that you didn't choose, you had no choice in the matter, but you did have a choice in how you approach it and how you own it and decide that you're going to persevere forward and pursue the sport that you love, regardless of the obstacles and challenges that it presents. And I think kind of what you touched on with having that spark, I think everyone here can probably relate to finding some spark, something that carries them through running. I mean, running can be a bit of a grind sometimes. Sometimes we have obviously those motivational slumps where we're like, why am I even putting this time in? This hurts. This is miserable, but obviously there's just some profound joy and fulfillment that comes through running. For me, it's been a vehicle for pursuing better physical health, mental health, an outlet, a way to challenge myself and achieve things that I feel fulfilled through, and also the community I think has been a huge part of it. And I think Alex, what you've done, what you and Derek have done through Dykeman and bringing community together, seemingly like out of the blue. You started Dykeman during as COVID was onsetting in 2019. Can you speak a little bit about like what that looked like when you were, the concept phase of starting, the run club and what the things were that you wanted to bring people together around and kind of how that's manifested for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. It really started as a dream, just conversation. I remember in 2019, myself and the founders, this was after the Queen's 10K. We just started talking about starting a run club, and we started little with just a 5K barbecue. That's how the idea started, and then from there, it just escalated. And as we spoke more, like our dreams and goals was the same, and we just wanted to reach out and do more and give back to our community. Like it always, no matter what we talked about, it always ended up the main purpose, giving back to our community. So I feel like here at the Dykeman Run Club, that's what we do. We've done a ton of free events, food drives. And I would say the biggest thing, we influence, we give hope, we bring people together. We built a family here at Dykeman Run Club. We help so many. Overall, throughout these years, we help so many people in life tremendously.
Well, it's a community that, running there's I think run clubs, especially over pandemic, they popped up like wildfire. They're all over. And the thing about up in Dykeman is like, you didn't see people running like that. And in Black and brown communities especially, it was running in that, the founders of Dykeman Run Club, you had guys that were starting out that were like they were interested in their fitness journey, and it wasn't just about themselves. It was like pretty much from the inception, it was like, we don't want to just do this for us. We want to do this for the community. So there's a difference in, something where, hey, everybody's doing this, let's jump on the bandwagon. And hey, we're in a neighborhood where nobody's doing this, where people are getting locked up. People are getting involved in street crime. And it's like, let's do something positive. And it's something that, Elvin Adamus, one of the founders of Dykeman Run Club, always says health is wealth. That's one of his things. It's like health is wealth. And health really is. I mean, if you don't have your health or you can't work towards better health, then you're really on the wrong path. The way that you take care of your body, that controls your, there's a strong tie in between the physical health and mental health. And for me, it's always been my mental health that has plagued me, and running has helped me with my mental health. So it's something that there's such a tie-in, and for that community especially, it's been just a huge bright spot where now, what started as 4 guys is now we get upwards of 60, 70 people on a any given Thursday, rain or shine. We're out there. There's no weather permitting. It's no matter what the weather is, we're out there. And I just happened to run into them one day. I was running over the pandemic like everybody else, out of boredom, trying to keep myself sane, and they stopped me to take a group picture for them on the street. And it was kind of just one of those things where it's like, hey, we're running back down towards Dykeman. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to come along for the ride. Stuck with them, and they haven't been able to get rid of me yet.
So for those who don't know, Derek is a Bronx-based photographer for Fujifilm. You can see his work on his site. We'll link that in there as well. We'll also link Dykeman Run Club and Steven's page. Photography, if maybe you can speak a little bit about like how photographing running can kind of bring to light, the struggles, the people, the grit that you capture through that, and maybe give us a little bit of your insight from that kind of more more tangential entrance to running.
Yeah, so I handle all the social media, or the lion's share of the social media for Dykeman Run Club. And like you said, Eitan, that's what I do. My job is in the creative industry, and there's a the creative industry is fueled by people who are dealing with mental health struggles as well. So again, everything has that intersection between mental health and physical health. And really, one of the great things about going out and capturing the running community and telling the stories is about just that. It's about telling the stories. So you can go out there and you can do it. But in the age that we're living in now, with social media and being able to connect with people all over the world, there's nothing cooler to me than being able to capture people in a marathon and share the images with them or share the videos with them. And then you see people that have inspired you over social media and you never met them, and then you run into them when you go somewhere to run. And I mean, I'm sure Steven can speak to this, people that you connect with, people from all different types of running communities. And for me, it's really about just telling the stories, the pictures, the videos. They help tell the stories of the runners. It's people like Steven that, you want to capture that person's story, because that story, you never know who can inspire.
Speaking of inspiration, let's talk a little bit about how, through our own running pursuits, we can, inspire and kind of lead and bring others into running and share the joy and like fulfillment. Like you said, Derek, for me also, running has been, definitely a mental health benefit for me. And like I've found so many benefits to dealing with depression and things of the sort through movement, through physical movement, through community, through engaging people, meeting people through running. So yeah, maybe Alex, if you can speak a little bit about how you're leading your community and inspiring people to join and be part that may not have had any running background or even interest in running.
Absolutely. Yes. First, I would like to give a shout out to one of Dykeman Run Club's founders, Elvin, because if it wasn't for Elvin, I probably wouldn't have started my running journey. I met Elvin, I would say 8 years ago, and he really kept pushing and trying to influence me into, get into running. Me growing up from a background of being a sprinter, I never had that mentality of being a long distance runner. So yeah, Elvin, I would say it took him a good 2 years to really really convince me to get out there, and from there it changed my life. It helped me tremendously, and I never knew, and this is my hidden my late hidden passion that I thought I would never have.
So Alex, let me ask you, in terms of those apprehensions and those barriers, or those feelings like I'm not a real runner, I don't have this mentality, whatever those negative kind of like things you're feeling that were barriers to you starting. Mm-hmm. Now that you've obviously pushed past those, mm-hmm. run marathons, etc., do you regret? Any of it?
Absolutely not. So, you know, everything in life, there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be barriers. But you know, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I feel like running is definitely meant to be part of my life. Just past my time, I'm bringing my daughters into the running community, and they love it, and I see their happiness and their passion, and it sparks into my life. So that's just some of my fuel. I get a lot of my fuel from watching my daughters that fuel me. Like I want them to look up to me, as they do. But you know, my personal accomplishment. But you know, just continuing and learning and growth. It's just it's amazing.
Stephen, you've run numerous ultra marathons, and trail seems to be your main draw. Tell me about, you know, going from road running into trail and ultras. What's that transition like? What are some of the differences and similarities between road running and making that leap into trail and ultra? And what have you found most fulfilling about running in that scene?
Well, it's a great question. I think Alex and me were talking about that a little bit off camera before, and I'd done a few marathons, mostly the majors, and this is about 10 years ago, a bit over 10 years, and I was kind of getting to the point where it felt like I was asking myself, is this it? Like, am I just trying to go from city to city, trying to beat my best time, training 18 weeks for one race? Like, is this all that running is? Because if that is what all it is, like, I'm not fulfilled. And I was fortunate to be surrounded by people in my bubble that at the time I considered crazy, and now they probably consider me crazy. And they were doing these trail races that were 50K, 50 miles. You know, you kind of lose all that kind of crowd support, sponsorship, media. It's all kind of gone away, and it goes back to the purity of just running. And it reminded me of my days before I was diagnosed, where I was running cross country every weekend and just enjoying it, racing, having a great time, like growing with the sport. And by jumping into trails, which essentially is a lot of ultra running, it kind of brought the whole thing full circle. And I explored the world and continue to explore the world, running on trails. It's an exciting part of the sport that really, for me, just like, it feels like that's where I belong the most.
One thing I love about running is that, you know, at the heart of it, it's a very simple biomechanical movement, moving your legs, moving your arms. And as humans, we're pretty predisposed, you know, ancestrally and evolutionarily to be able to run and carry our bodies great distances over land. So I find it's a very like innately fulfilling thing to be able to, you know, really hone that predisposition to be able to run far distances. And that's for one reason I've found running long distance and ultras to be fulfilling. But, you know, at the core of it, just the movement of running, whether you're sprinting, whether you're running, you know, a road race, a 5K, a 10K, a marathon, an ultra marathon, trail, whatever it might be, there's just this like mechanism within our, you know, bodies that we're predisposed to do. And everyone, you know, can have their own entry point, I think, into running, and their own arena of what is fulfilling and what works for them and what's healthy for them. And then when you look at, you know, skewing it in any direction, whether it's skewing that distance, skewing the speed, the intensity, or it's just, you know, running a few miles a few times a week, there's equal, I think, like kind of value for different people in it. And, you know, one thing that I, you know, as someone personally who's run in some competitive realms, you know, I find it personally fulfilling, but I think it should never really be, you know, there's no like classism to it. Like, I've run X, Y, and Z distance or speed there, and you've run this. Like, that's just, you know, humans, we tend to, I think, like to compare ourselves to other people. But ultimately, like, the reason is internal, I think, at least for me, and I think in the most like enjoyable sense of it. So
it's beautiful about it.
Yeah, I think like what you're saying is so true. I had those conversations a lot where I talk to people, new people, and they're like, I've only run 5 marathons. I'm only a 10-minute mile pace. I'm like, why are we saying this kind of language? Like, why you're comparing yourself to either myself directly or the grander scheme of social media and this outside influences, and it's like, it's not healthy. I try and like educate them to like let that go. Wherever you are and wherever you're at and wherever you want to go, like everyone's got their own journey, and we should just be just enjoy it individually.
It's like you need that balance between the competitive nature drives you and it motivates you, but at the same time you have to know when to dial it back, and you have to ultimately run for yourself. It's like, trying to run with somebody when you start at the starting line. It's like we run races together, with the Dykeman Run Club. It's like you get a group of your people together and you want to take off together. And it's like, sometimes you fight it. You don't want to take off because it's like, I want to be in my own head. I don't want to run at your pace. I want to run at my own pace. I don't want to feel like I have to keep up with you. And it's like, it really is, for as much as I draw motivation and I'm thankful for the people that I'm close with in Dykeman Run Club, that I communicate with on a daily basis, who they don't know it because, I don't always communicate it or verbalize it and say, you know what, I went out and ran today because 6 of the other people that I see in a group chat, we have a runners group chat with our entire community. And it's when you see people going out and doing races and running daily and putting up these numbers and seeing people get better, it motivates you to want to go do it. And you're saying, well, I sat on my ass for 3 days this week, or, I only ran once in the last 2 weeks. Maybe I should go out and even get 1 mile. So it's, it's using it as motivation, but then not getting it to the point where I have to draw that line where I push myself out of what my normal rhythm is, or I try to go too fast for what my capabilities are.
I learned over the years and experience up and downs that you have to run your own race. It's your own run. And that's kind of my competitiveness has kind of been my flaw for injuries. And I had to learn that I have to just listen to my body, run my own race, be my own runner, and not compete with others. Because sometimes I could be injured or something, or not ready for a race, and I will push myself too hard and I will get injured or fail. But running is contagious. Like when you see somebody run and see somebody it really just it's contagious. Like it once you bring it, the running community has just grown tremendously, and I feel like it's contagious, and the running community is going to continue to grow.
I also think it's important to note that running is really, for me, a team sport. There's a very individual aspect to it as well, but I feel it's really a community and team sport ultimately. And like those healthy realms, there's healthy competition certainly that can drive people to push themselves, but obviously if it goes into a comparison and things like that, look at Eliud Kipchoge, the fastest marathon runner of all time. He in my measure is just an incredibly humble human being, and clearly his he has that competitive drive, obviously to beat his competition, but at the core of it, I think what makes what that flame that burns in him is to be the best runner that he can be ultimately, not necessarily to beat the next person, even though that helps get the edge. But I think people like that who are at the top of the game that we look at as inspiration and in a humbling way to see what they're capable of, and their personas can be inspiring. Let's talk a little about what everyone's kind of got coming up. What's your next challenge? What are you looking forward to? What's next on the docket? Derek, what do you got?
I'm running a 10K down in Baltimore, which I know, it's going to be so tough.
The Fells running one?
It's the one that's going across the bridge. All I know is that my sister's been asking us, because I come from a running family. Half of us. We're a big family, and about half of us run. So my sister's been asking for years for everyone to come down and run it with her. So finally doing it. So I'm going to be running it with 3 of my sisters. So I have 5 sisters, 3 of them, I'm going to use the term loosely, they run. They'll probably wouldn't consider themselves runners, but that's what's next. So I haven't decided if I'm going to try to go out there and really take in the experience and run for me, or if I want to pace one or all of my sisters and try to get them. I like the satisfaction of helping people get to their goals. Work on myself on the side, but it's really satisfying to me to see other people hit their goals.
Yeah, and to share the
share joy.
Yeah.
Share it as a family.
And the achievement for sure. Stephen, what do you got coming up? What are you excited about?
That's a great segue, because my next race is pacing New York City Marathon on November 6th.
Coming right up, 4 weeks.
Yeah, so it's I think it's my 9th New York and my 8th time being a pacer for New York Road Runners. So I paced 3:30 with my buddy Devang, and we have an absolute
I'll probably be
blast.
running with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we line up together. Yeah, it's exactly what Derek's saying. I've been a pacer for almost a decade. I just got back from London last weekend and I paced there. And being a pacer is just such a cool thing to help other people achieve their goals. And finishing the race and then seeing the crowd look at me like I can walk normally is also very entertaining. But no, it's just about giving back and sharing my passion with everyone else so they can potentially hit their goal time. So that's next for me.
Alex, what are you excited about? What do you got coming up?
Yes, so I have the New York City Marathon as well. It's going to be challenging because I had surgery not too long ago on January 24th. So I had to overcome a lot of obstacles, and this training program has been tough. These last 16 weeks has been tough. I had a lot of doubts. I had to find motivation. I had to really dig down deep to give myself something to keep going because it was really a struggle, and a lot of people don't see that behind the scenes, that sometimes as runners, even with all of our achievements, like we struggle behind the scenes, and that's just life. And somebody that might not even know it, but they motivate you. They'll help motivate you. They'll help give you that passion to keep going, and it's the little things.
Yeah, kind of in that same vein. Let's talk a little bit about like what for different people has been, low moments maybe in your running. We all have like those, high points, which are obviously great. But what about those lows, those like motivational slumps, those times where you're just really struggling to get out the door, to get off the couch, to get out of bed, whatever it is, to go for a run. In terms of, what's that shining light that's gotten you out the door, that's giving you that little push to continue on?
It's funny, Alex and I were just talking about injury on the drive over here, and we were both saying it's like we were athletes our whole lives, never, and Alex was the same as I was, never got injured, and I was like, it's like a curse. It's like a team going undefeated into the playoffs or into the championship, and you haven't tasted defeat, and then you don't know how to act when you lose a game. And I'd never had a serious injury, and I got runner's knee in both knees. I think I actually came here and talked to Eitan about it one day. I was coming and getting new sneakers when I was coming off of it, and I was getting ready to run the Brooklyn half. And I was coming in here buying new sneakers, and I was probably ranting to him at the counter, talking about my knee struggles. But it's like I'd never tasted an injury that had me sidelined for so long. It was like 6 months. I thought I was better, came back prematurely. I wasn't. And it was like, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to train. I didn't know how to deal with an injury. What I thought, I'm like, it's runner's knee. It can't be that bad. And then you don't realize until you're there. And then you just start digging your hole deeper and you want to get back out there. So for me, it was just learning to accept that you're human. The body breaks down. Sometimes you can do everything right and things happen. And it was just learning that it's okay to rest. It's okay to sideline yourself. You don't have to always be a superhuman individual, and you can just kind of take a break.
And I feel like baby steps, sometimes all you can do is baby steps, but baby steps, they're steps too, and sometimes that's what you need to be doing, and just kind of come to terms with that, and have the confidence that you will get back to that point that you've been at or want to be at.
Yeah, I think for me, there's so many different ways to spin it, but I think like with my story, like my slump is way back in time with my diagnosis of type 1, and kind of the world, at least how I saw it, where there was no role models, there was no one who was type 1 diabetic that was a runner, and it felt like very lonely and very isolated, almost like that feeling of COVID for us when you first hit, like your community's gone and everything's kind of like pitch black for a little bit. And I think my way through all of that, and it took several years to get through, was to understand that my way to really have good control of diabetes in it's called an A1C, like it's like an average glucose every 3 months, and to really have that get into a better position and just to feel better every day was to get back to running on a more consistent basis. And with that, I found community through different groups.
I feel like there's kind of some irony there in the fact that like the analogy you used with COVID, it's like everyone at some point throughout COVID felt like alone. But the irony is that like everybody in the world is going through the same thing. And I think that I feel like Stephen, you kind of like self-selected, like you didn't see that person, that role model there, and you kind of owned it and became that role model and that person.
Yeah, 100%. I exactly, like I never foresaw like my life to be a type 1 diabetes athlete role model, because it didn't exist, and kind of in some ways created that to be like a big part of my life. And not to segue too far, but it's a motivation for me, is to be able to give back and know that there's kids that are 14 right now who are scared and don't know about diabetes, who are getting diagnosed every single day, and they can find not just me, many people like me who are doing amazing things.
It's funny you mentioned that. Like I have a new coworker at work, and she's also a stage 1, like new stage 1 diabetic, and we started conversating, and she saw I was a runner, and she said that the same exact thing, that she wants to begin to run, but she's scared because of diabetes, and she doesn't know how to like interact. So, you know, somebody like you, it's amazing that you could bring inspiration and kind of guide in a way people with diabetes.
So I want to just say, you know, everyone here, Derek, Stephen, Alex, and myself, hopefully too, we run because we love it. We run because it brings us good health and good things, and does our bodies and minds well. We all, I think, hopefully inspire people around us. And the same goes for really anyone who runs. You have like those ripple effects. You know, there's someone in your life, whoever you are, you know, if you're running, there's someone looking at you that's looking up to what you're doing, and hopefully, you know, going to have that ripple effect and help bring more people into it. But I'm grateful for everyone being on today. Derek, thank you for, you know, hosting the video setup and everything. Stephen, for joining us and bearing with us with some of our delays in getting started, and Alex, for all the awesome work you're doing with Dykeman. I know you all have the Runner Mania coming up on October 15th. Maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about what you all have going on, and you know, we'll also share a link for people to sign up for Runner Mania.
Yeah, so this Saturday in 4 days, we have the annual Runner Mania event. It's a 5K up in Dykeman, La Marina. We actually partnered up with Spy Belt, and we have a charity. It's going to be the American Diabetes Association. So it's crazy how the world, you know, how everything comes together. But so we're going to give back to charity, and we're going to have some educators there for diabetes. So so just please support, and you know, we're excited, and we're looking to have a great event.
I think Alex is also issuing a citywide challenge for whoever wants to come get the smoke this weekend. I think that's what he wanted to say earlier. But no, it is. I mean, it's great. You know, we did becoming an actual recognized charity for Dykeman Run Club was a huge step. It's not easy to do. It's a lot of steps and there's a lot of red tape involved. But to get that nonprofit status is great, and that's really where you can take things to another level. So it's great to be a part of something that you're proud to be a part of, right? It's like everybody's had that job that they worked, just to make ends meet. You picked up a summer job and you're like, you hated the place, but you had to put on a smile and go to work every day. And running with a run club that is doing great things, it's great to be able to wear those letters on your chest. And when you run by at a race and everyone's like, Dykeman, everybody goes crazy because they know the name. It's great. So yes, come check us out this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we do, we're out there every Thursday, and really it's about building the community. It's about running, but it's more about like family. Like I continued to come back because every time I came back, I felt like I was one of them. I got such a great reception. People remembered me, and it wasn't just like show up and run, and you kind of feel like if you aren't able to pull a certain pace that you weren't accepted. One of the great things about Dykeman is that we're accepting of all levels. Whether you're the fastest person out there or somebody who's never taken a step in the right direction, that's what we're there for, to coach and help get you there. So Runner Mania is one of the many great events that we do, but really it starts every week, every Thursday. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, definitely great stuff. Dykeman Run Club that you guys are doing up there. Check them out. Awesome, welcoming, positive group. So definitely check out Dykeman Run Club. Anyway, thanks everyone for being on. It's been really great to sit down and chat about some of our stories, what's driving us, what's motivated us, what keeps us going, how we inspire communities and bring people together through running.
Thank you for having us, Eitan.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah,
thanks a lot. Awesome.
We'll see you next time. Please like, comment, subscribe, etc. You know the drill, and we'll see you soon.
Woo!
Woo! Woo!